So now coming back to this question around the crisis of credibility that the Congress faces, one of the possible consequences, as we have seen it on many occasions, is something like this, which is even when the Congress takes up an issue which is otherwise considered as politically very explosive, because of the crisis that the Congress faces, crisis of credibility, crisis of baggage that it carries, the potency of that issue is lost. Now, many people are worried that this is an important issue, no doubt, but because the Congress has taken it up, will it lose its relevance? And therefore, should we be a little more careful, not in joining hands with it, but the way it will proceed from now on?
Everyone should be careful. Congress should be careful, we should be careful, and those who are watching us should be careful. Congress should be careful because, yes, there is a chance, not just about Congress, this is true of the left, this is
That's
true
right,
of every
yeah.
party
Everyone
in this
has that
country.
crisis.
You can touch a sacred issue and turn it into dust.
Exactly.
So this is a real issue, and I suppose that is why Congress, this particular instance, has gone out of its way to invite outsiders to join this. When this Bharat Jodo Yatra was announced for the first time, this is 15th of May or around that, maybe 16th of May. In the very first statement, Congress said, we invite political parties, like-minded, that is to say secular, political parties, organizations, movements, individuals to join us. Congress has repeatedly said, this is not our yatra, this is a country's yatra, we invite everyone to join. Now, in all practical things, it is a Congress yatra. But the fact is that Congress has felt the need to invite outsiders. That to me is a positive sign. So you do realize that at this moment you need others to come in. Civil society has to be careful, movements have to be careful in tying themselves to any one political party. We have said in the statement that we've issued a few days ago, we've clearly said this is a one-time support extended to one campaign. It is not a support, generalized support extended to Congress party or its leaders. It is to a campaign. If the campaign achieves anything, every Indian should be happy and proud of it. And those who are watching should also be careful, because while you and I are speaking and some people are watching us, all the television channels, 95% of the media of this country is poisoning us, raising all kinds of weird and strange issues. So we also have to filter. This is a critical moment for our republic. All of us have to walk very, very carefully. And I suspect that's being reflected already. But yes, those friends who are saying, be careful, I'm entirely with them. Be careful. But when fire is going around, you have to be careful not to die because you need to douse the fire. But you cannot be so careful that you are standing out and watching it. That is not
How do
careful.
we ensure that because of the Congress involvement, this issue doesn't lose its sort of relevance or acceptability?
When others speak. So to my mind, the care is not in keeping away from it, but in joining this. If Devanuru Mahadev comes and speaks, no one can say, look, this is what
Congress
you're doing,
affair.
Congress is doing this, etc. One party is doing it. It has to do with electoral calculation that he's going to go to Rajya Sabha. No one can say these things. So people who have credibility, people whose public service record demonstrates their ability and their consistency in taking issues. In fact, I would say precisely those who have taken on the Congress in the past, they are the persons. If they come today and say, yes, this is where Congress is doing something correct, we should support them because this is in the national interest, then it changes the character. Then we prevent it. So I would urge and plead with our friends, the way to exercise caution is not to keep away, but actually to join. As they say in Hindi, वो छोटी लाइन को मिटाना है तो आप उसको मिटा नहीं सकते, आपको एक बड़ी लाइन खींचनी होगी. That's what we need to do.
The story so far. So it was launched, and for the first few days, it has been happening. Now, what is the kind of message that's going out? In your observation and your assessment, can we say that the right kind of messaging is going out? And how do you see the kind of response, public response so far? And what needs to be done in order to.
I walked with it for the first 6 days and will go back after these. I'm here for some preparatory meetings, so I will keep going back to the yatra. In terms of, there are two things that you can say with some certainty. One is that the public response is overwhelming and more than a Congress response. Yes, Kanyakumari is one of the few spots in Tamil Nadu where Congress is still vibrant, and yes, Kerala is its area of strength. But you know, when you walk, you can see things in people's eyes. Yeah. You can see those who have been mobilized by someone to stand in heat, exactly, and those who come out on their own. I could see many people who came out on their own. I could see some spark in their eyes. So it's not merely the mobilized crowd. There is a possibility. And remember, in this country, any Padayatri is taken seriously. Goes back to Nanak, goes back to all our saints. Anyone who walks on foot is
was it a Gandhian legacy, or is it a Gandhian?
Deeper than Gandhi. Gandhi is picking up something much deeper. Okay. You know, this is our civilizational legacy. You know, what is Nanak doing all his life? Okay. He's traveling.
Okay.
Travel
the nomadic nature of the.
This is not tourism.
Yeah.
So it's neither. This is not your exercise. This is not tourism.
In Kannada, we have a saying, "Thavara kali untu jangama kalivilla," which is exactly that.
Yeah.
The one which keeps moving
doesn't disappear.
That's right. So, you see, every yatra has to be a yatra of manas. It has to be a manas yatra of your chitta. Chitta has no English translation. Of your chitta, of your manas. Has all that happened? No. But I see that the Padayatra happening is making people more than curious. Of course, many of them would have come just to see, Acha, who is Rahul Gandhi? Let me see that. But I saw something more than that. I also see that in the response from the BJP. They're rattled. You know, they're coming up with all kinds of absolutely weird things about someone's t-shirt.
Yeah.
Arey Baba, look at your own leader. I mean, you know, in Hindi, I don't know, again, there is a word in Kannada for that. You know, we say, we have a Paridhan Mantri. Paridhan is the clothes. So a man who changes his clothes 6 times a day, his lackeys are saying someone is wearing a t-shirt. I mean, this is, so I think it shows BJP is rattled. And BJP being rattled, I think, is already a very good sign. So I see some sign on the street. I see some sign on BJP reaction in the media. I also see something else. Over the last 15 days, ever since it was announced that I would be on the yatra, I've received messages. Messages from friends who I thought would criticize me. Just this morning, I don't want to name everyone, you know, this person who is a great social thinker of India. He sent me a message saying, I thought he would, the moment I noticed his email, I thought, okay, he'll give me some lessons on, you know, Congress is dirty, don't touch them, etc. He said, the right moment, I'm glad you've taken this courageous step. And I've got so many messages in the last 10 days from the most unexpected quarters. People who are left in their orientation, people who've been deeply opposed to the Congress. And yesterday, I got a message from my senior colleague in Haryana. It's important because Comrade Dilip Singh, I can name him. He was in jail in the emergency for all the 19 months. He called me yesterday and said, can I join this yatra? For me, that is the test. When Comrade Dilip Singh, who suffered at the hand of Congress, and who in the socialist family is as anti-Congress as you can get, he calls and says, Yogen, can I join this yatra at age of 75 plus? That is a marker. So to me, it shows that the silence is being broken. BJP's success is that it can make every one of us feel alone. You feel I'm opposed to BJP, but I'm alone. He is opposed to BJP, but he feels he's alone. I feel alone. And the three people, BJP may have two people against us, but they feel they are together. This is beginning to change, because then you feel, okay, we are three of them, us, and they are only two. Breaking this loneliness, whether it is in television studio or in a college WhatsApp group or something, this is the key, and I see that beginning to happen. And for that, a yatra on the ground is very important, because you see, okay, I'm not alone, I'm one of them. This is what it has achieved so far, but a lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be done, especially to distinguish it from an ordinary roadshow of a political party. It has to be something deeper, and I'm really hoping when it turns into Karnataka, we draw upon the deeper resources. I'm more familiar and more proud of what we get in Karnataka. So I hope we would be able to build that in there.
Yeah, not just you, you're saying that many people have joined and many more have expressed to join Bharat Jodo, basically the civil society people whom you have addressed already. But how did this process start? You mentioned that Congress gave a call and invited all others to join, but then we saw you walking in the yatra.
Now, there's a lot in between.
Yes, what is it?
See, in the month of May, Congress gives a call, says, to everyone. They also informally approached some of us, including me. But that was a overall statement saying, please join Bharat Jodo Yatra. It's not of one party, not one leader. This is a broader national purpose. Then in the month of July, many socialists led by G.G. Parekh, one of the most is a veteran of 1942. They gave a call for Nafrat Chodo, Samvidhan Bachao, Bharat Jodo day to be observed on the 9th of August, which is the August Kranti Divas.
And these are from Bombay.
They are from Bombay, but this group is spread all. So every 9th of August they celebrated. At that time, Congress responded to this initiative. Mr. Digvijay Singh, who has been made in charge of this yatra, he personally travelled to Bombay and took a letter from Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, the Congress president, requesting all the Andolanjeevis to please support this yatra. He carried that message. In response to his message there, a meeting was held on the 19th of August in Delhi, Gandhi Peace Foundation, where the extended group of Bombay met in Delhi. So this had now people from various other parts of the country. They all met and decided to welcome and extend support to this yatra. In the meanwhile, 8 of us had written to a much wider group to have a meeting on the 22nd of August. And 8 of us were, this was Aruna Roy, Devaduru Mahadev, Bejwada Wilson, Sharad Behar, Professor Ganesh Devi, Saida Hamid, myself, all of us had written, and P.V. Rajgopal. We wrote to a large number of organizations, and about 150 of them turned up on the 22nd August to discuss whether we should connect to Bharat Jodo Yatra or not. Congress came to make presentation. Rahul Gandhi was there. He came in the afternoon to answer our questions. And at the end of the deliberations, it was unanimously decided that we welcome and support this yatra. That is what I'm executing.
So this process of connecting more and more civil society people is still on?
Yes, after that there was a signature campaign in which 200 of the most eminent Indians have put their signatures and said we welcome and support this yatra. After that, many such campaigns are taking place in every region, because anyone who cares for this country now has come to a point where we say, okay, any effort to unite this country, any effort to preserve this country must be supported, because we do not want the legacy of the Constitution to be destroyed. So all these people are coming together, and through you, once again, I would request all the persons in Karnataka who may be listening to this, that can we have a similar campaign in Karnataka? When the yatra comes, can the activists, eminent individuals, writers, artists of Karnataka, and Karnataka has so much more to offer. My language has had only 2 Jnanapeeths so far. Kannada has had 8, so I expect at least 4 times more support from Karnataka for this. This campaign is going on. So what I'm doing, what is being presented in the media as Yogendra Yadav doing this, has nothing to do with Yogendra Yadav. This is a larger effort which is being undertaken by all those who love this country. And I happen to be just one of the faces carrying that out.
Okay. So now, how do you see things emerging after the end of this yatra? So, Congress has led this with the civil society support. That's fine. Congress as a political party will have its strategy, political strategy. So that is not something that we are concerned with. But the idea of Bharat Jodo, how would that evolve? How do you see that evolving beyond this yatra?
That's the most important question, because for me the story does not begin or end with 2024. You know, the deep poison that is being injected in this country. For me, the mission of Bharat Jodo would be to create a condition in which detoxification can take place for this country, and that's a 20-year mission. That's not it. Right now, 24 is important because we need conditions under which the patient can be treated. Conditions, Dr. Vasu is sitting here, so medical vocabulary is coming to me, because we need conditions under which at least this detoxification can begin, some antidote can be given. But giving antidote is the real thing, because so much of poisoning has taken place in this country. That has to be done. So for me, the real job begins after the yatra, which is, this is the job of writers, of intellectuals, of poets, of artists, of activists working on the ground.
And whatever is left with the media.
And whatever is left of the media.
Yeah.
But you know,
And the new media that will come up.
yes, but you know, in the last instance, the biggest media of this world is my mouth and your ear.
Exactly.
Finally, this is why, because if the media is doing all this, the only thing you can do is to walk on the street. Please remember, in 1977, I go back again, I was old enough to know things. The media was entirely captured. Every single story was demonstrating that Indira Gandhi is headed for a huge victory. Every single thing was blanked out. But through word of mouth, people knew the truth. In the last instance, I trust democracy because I trust people's ability to smell things even when they are not being shown it. That can happen. But that job happens only when all of us do it. And that's a 20-year project, recovering the Swadharma of India and bringing it to our next generation is our sacred duty. You and I will be no more after a few years. But you see, we have inherited one of the finest struggles of the 20th century. There are only 2 great things, I mean maybe 3, but I think of 2. India's struggle for freedom and South African struggle against apartheid. These are 2 high points of humanity in the 20th century. We have done nothing to deserve it, but we are the inheritors of one of them. The minimum we should do for this country is to pass on this heritage to the next generation. So, to tell you the truth, I am in this yatra so that my grandchildren, future generations, when they think of you or me or him, no matter what the consequences, at least they would say they fought when it was necessary to fight. If you know someone from Germany in the 1930s, what would you ask? Yeah, exactly. What were they doing in 1930s? If someone said they were running a shop, he was running a business, you would say, Acha, they were running a business in 1930s? No, he was being very careful. Acha, they were being careful in 1930s? I don't want my grandchildren to think that I was being careful in 2022. I want them to remember that their grandfather fought for this country, no matter what the consequences. And I have this deep belief. We have 5,000 years of this civilization. It is deep. No Modi can erase a Basavanna or a Kabir or a Nanak from my blood.
So now permit me to ask a question which is slightly different. And my request is to answer this question in your capacity as a sapologist or former sapologist, as you would like to describe yourself as now. Before 2024, we have 2023 in Karnataka. So how do you see politics in Karnataka emerging, and what's your sort of quick assessment of the situation?
Look, I should not even pretend to forecast, because when I did professional forecast, I used to have a lot of tools and public opinion data, which I don't have. So I should not misuse my capacity to do some things. All I see on the ground is BJP's misgovernance, terrible misgovernance. And in any case, BJP has never quite won a majority on its own ever in Karnataka. So I see only two things. Number one, I see that Karnataka is absolutely critical for 2024 in the country. The road to 2024 may not pass through Gujarat, may not pass through Himachal, but it does pass through Karnataka. And I want all of us to remember that. And second, BJP is on a very shaky wicket in Karnataka. But that alone is not enough. Someone has to convert it. People being unhappy is not enough. Someone has to convert their unhappiness into an alternative direction. If the opposition were to fight this election with some sense of purpose, with some sense of cohesion, and I'm not speaking of Congress-JDS alliance. If Congress were to have an alliance with itself and JDS were to have an alliance with itself, if they were to contest this election with sense of cohesion, sense of purpose, with a larger moral purpose, I do not see how the BJP can come back to power after such misgovernance and such a poor track record of damaging this society, and with brazen attempts at communalizing the situation in order to hide their misgovernance.
So in this process of conversion of the popular mood into electoral outcomes, do you see any role for the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is passing through Karnataka for a considerable number of days?
Honestly, I do not see this yatra as an electoral yatra. People are saying, why does it not pass through Gujarat? Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. This should be about revitalizing the spirit of this country. Once the spirit gets revitalized, once those who are feeling very uncomfortable with what is being done, they pick up the courage to come on the street and say, this is wrong. Right now, they don't have the courage. Once this happens, then it would have many consequences, elections being one of them. But it should not be an electoral yatra. It should not be an election roadshow. That is not the purpose. And whenever I see Rahul Gandhi speak, he says it every time that this is not the purpose, and I have no reason to disbelieve him.
Okay, that is a very positive note to end this conversation, possibly.
Yeah, but because without asking about farmers' movement, we should
okay, the conversation will be incomplete.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Your association with India's farmers' movement is quite old, and particularly in 2015, in that Hal Satyagraha, where a movement was built against the proposed amendment to the
ordinance on land acquisition.
Yes, land acquisition. Since then, you have been working consistently in the farmers' front, particularly in 2017. In fact, I had witnessed that huge gathering in Parliament Street much before 2019 elections. But after that, you were one of the persons who built that AIKSCC, All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee, but now even much bigger farmers movement. Yes, it is successful in the sense that 3 anti-farmers laws were repealed, but still, do you think that it was a success in that sense? And what is the future of farmers movement? And added to it, since we are closing, during that Hal Satyagraha, you were saying that the future of Indian politics and civil society movements the central axis will be farmers' issue. Do you still believe that it is still the central axis?
I'm glad you remember all that, because most people forget it. For most people, farmers' movement began in 2020 when people arrived in Delhi border, Delhi Morcha. That was the culmination of a 4-year-long effort in which all of us were working. And I remember many colleagues from my own organization saying, "ये आप पत्थर पे हल चला रहे हो, इससे कुछ नहीं निकलेगा." I said, "No, this is our duty. We have to do this because it's been my conviction. You know, the Marxist theory said that the proletariat is the vanguard of history." And it was not said as a rhetorical statement.
And you think that farmers will be the vanguard in Karnataka,
farmers
in India?
Are, you know, at any stage in history, there is one class whose self-interest is perfectly aligned with the movement of history. Today, farmers are not the only category, but farmers are that one critical class in our society whose interests are perfectly tied with the interest of the Indian nation being saved. Development for the last person, diversity being protected, and democratic spaces being protected.
And
What we have
also
achieved.
about the ecosystem that we are living in.
That's
which
right.
has to be
That's
saved.
absolutely. So it so happens that farmers are aligned with, they happen to be, the objectively farmers' interests are aligned with, you know, saving of Indian republic, democracy, climate, everything for future. Will the farmers' movement actually do so? That's a challenge. What we have achieved may look very big, but to my mind, it's only the starting point. Basically, we are back to where we were before the 3 farm laws began. What have we achieved? Well, we have achieved a certain self-respect, but that has to be translated into movement and organization. We have created a platform for the first time, but that platform needs to be made genuinely all India now. We have managed to check 3 laws, but there are so many more coming, especially on the international trade, coming from the back door, which need to be prevented. We have achieved something deeper for the farmers, but it has to be translated into more concrete struggles in order to address the triple crisis that Indian farmers face, the economic crisis, ecological crisis, and existential crisis. And to my mind, therefore, something like a campaign on MSP is absolutely critical, because that is one issue that unites the farmers across the country. So I do hope and believe that farmers' movement will, having gained one victory, we will not become complacent, that we would move forward, turn Sanyukta Kisan Morcha into a truly all India network and organization, pick up something like an MSP, put its energies, and realize that farmers' movement today carries not only the responsibility of securing the interests of the farmers, it also carries the responsibility of securing democracy and federalism in this country.
Thank you very much, sir. So we look forward to the Yatra in Karnataka. And thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for such a detailed conversation. I rarely get an opportunity to have such a clear, detailed conversation where things can be explained. Otherwise, these days, it's a 15-second bite. Thanks for going beyond 15 seconds.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much. All pleasure.
ಮತ್ತಷ್ಟು ವಿಶೇಷ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಲು ಮತ್ತು ಹೊಸ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯಲು
ಈ ದಿನ .com ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಲ್ ಐಕಾನ್ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ.